again, we're sitting and enjoying the outcome of a wonderful activity-filled weekend, and of course, I'm always in my element when I'm out in nature and out about. I do a fair amount of teaching in buildings, but my love is being out here where my roof is the sky and my platform is the earth herself. So we've been discussing a whole lot of things that are happening and where people's lives are changing and people are seeing things coming at them that are so different. It's kind of terrifying in that, and a whole lot of that has really come to being a fabulous clearing and an opening, and I'm really impressed with your particular story of how, you've had to face up some things this week, Joyce. So you want to share some of that?
I would love to, because I think my experience relates a lot to what society is dealing with and changes right now. My initial reaction to a crisis that I was dealing with was I was stuck, there was no solutions, and things were going to get worse. So thank goodness, in teachings that I have been blessed with, I learned very quickly that in those early days of thinking I was in a crisis, that actually I was in a major opportunity, and that what my heart wanted to do was exactly what this crisis was allowing me to do. So it has been extremely profound and powerful, and I'm very grateful for what I have learned.
And we're very grateful for you sharing. And some of the things that we see, it's only though we think where we live, okay? Wherever your thoughts are is actually what you're living. And at this point of everything, you can only use what you know. You can only make your challenges with what you have already learned in your skill bank. So the system that most people have been raised in is to just see the problems. The problems exist, nonstop. The solutions are never the first thing that you discuss. And I see people who are just living what I consider ordinary 9-to-5 lives, not really learning what sound business people know is that you have to plan everything out. Recently talking to a loved one about a relationship that he's in, and actually considering the fact that he had to bring up in this relationship, let's take time here to weigh everything, to look at everything and plan this, with intelligence, with an open mind of what could we be finding as our challenges. And I think it was Stephen Covey that had said if we came into relationships as well organized as we would be to start up a business, we would have far less divorce. And I totally support that. But that's the current or the main flow of everything in life. If you're taught to only be in fear-based, okay, fear being FEAR, false evidence appearing real, okay, then you believe everything's against you, which is what you said, that everything was totally destroying any possibilities you had. But that's taught, and that comes from not being a capable or a person who has actually gone out here and educated yourself. People who minimize what they know and their skills never feel prepared, never. And a system that wants to control you by fear-based, fear of your job, fear of your salary, and I think you even shared earlier with us that you had been approached at your job and actually had been told you're going to have to take a wage cut. There are a lot of companies doing that. And people who are highly professionally skilled people are those people. They want you to take less because then they can actually cover more profit level. As an owner of businesses and one who actually teaches people how to start up those businesses, you want to be prepared for that. You have a margin of where you know that if your profits would drop below that you would obviously have to look at foreclosing your business. But you also have to make consideration for all those who depend on that business for their livelihood. So I've always left a margin, a percentage of fluctuation, I call it, between where if the business got in any kind of situation or took a slump, that I didn't have to pass it to the employees, that we could take the impact of that on our profit margin without suffering any kind of loss or really, profitable discomfort. So not everybody will do that. And then you come to the lay person that just works from 9 to 5, or a professional such as yourself who's actually went to school for a number of years, trained for a position, and feel that that's it. You haven't educated yourself. I wish life was that simple. Life is not that simple. Okay? And as the global family of humanity changes, all of us, whether we're here in the U.S. in our little safe, reclusive places, or wherever we're at in the world, even those who are in villages in the forest, everybody's affected by that. Everybody. So then it's a matter of you continuing to educate yourself, prepare yourself, be aware of what's going on in your world, and learning more about what the solutions to that even are. Because it doesn't matter if it's our country or what country. When there begin to be economic slumps, everybody felt them. Every country. Everybody. So then you have to continue to be open to learn more about something, to know more about something. So when those, and listen, I have it happening all the time. People are constantly coming to me. I'm not happy. I don't like what I do. You were one of those people. You didn't like what you were doing. And it's like, okay, what would you like to do? What would make it not seem a drudgery, or you'd be eager to get to it? What would that be? And in yours, it was the feel of holistic practice. Now you're right in the doorway of it, So when you're praying for these things, prayer has power. When you're looking for these things and talking about these things, okay, energy follows thought. You can't sit and think about a bunch of things and then think, well, I'm not really going to do that. If you've been sitting there thinking about it, there's been some effect. That's energy. So then what we have to do is look at, okay, what are you going to sit here and talk about and think about? It's why in a number of the students I've worked with, I've told them, the worst and most destructive thing any of you could possibly do is gossip. To sit and make wrong of something or somebody, or to reiterate just cheap, unimportant talk that somebody passed along to you. Such a waste of divine life and energy. But that's the whole key to it. Energy follows thought. You think that you're sitting here just telling your friends something that you heard. Okay, it has energy, it takes life, it applies to life, it has effect. So let's look at saying, okay, I want to change my career. I'm really not happy with what I do. Well, then you must get very, very prepared for the impact that will come along and actually help you make that change. So as we're making those changes and things are coming to that better place that you want to be, have everything already laid out. I teach most people that I work with, whether it's relationships, whether it's life coaching, whether it's business coaching, whatever it is, you start out with the manifestation wheel. You put everything in place that could possibly be something you could consider right now. And then as you come to that and you get it all set up, then you apply it to what I consider the divisions of need, or the pillars of what this is going to stand on. And it's just such a simple way to train yourself to think. And then it would not matter what it is. Energy follows thought, okay? It would not matter what it is. You're prepared. You have put it into a perspective to where you're going to get helpful, nurturing, and powerful growth. It would be everything. It would be your day. Say you're just not having one of your best days. And I come to that because we were laughing before about this. I can put my day on a nice flow sheet. I can say from 7 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock today, these are all the things I'm going to do. And in these 70 odd years here, I can tell you there has never been a day that has happened. Okay, something drops in, some phone call comes in, somebody brings something that wasn't there when I made that list out. Okay, but isn't that life? And I want it to continue to unfold. I love change. I'm a very adaptable person. I'll do a 180-degree turn in order to accommodate something that's come up, because whatever Creator brings into my day, I realize is mine to do. So I'm just ready for it. I will do the best to fulfill everything on that flow sheet. And I marvel at this time as I'm going with that and staying as close to maintaining as I can, and then allowing the integration of what's coming, everything gets done. I don't even question it anymore. Everything gets done. So then when I move into what I would say is a new challenge, and I've been saying, okay, most of the challenges I'm looking at is, okay, there's a new project that's come up, and there's a new need. You know, it could be working with many of the humanitarian programs that I do. You know, one would be some situation that's come up in Brazil, and where there's an activity going on there, and that there's, you know, they're actually advertising you can have a child for entertainment if you attend this event, and you can actually book it and everything on the internet. I find that disgusting. So human slavery and trafficking is one of my issues. So I would start a business. So right now the increase of that is bothering me. So I immediately look for business projects that I can get up and running with a small investment of money, and have it reach some, you know, some projected investment profit levels really fast, so that now I can get more money into that project and make sure that, you know, I actually get myself involved in making sure that that project is doing what it needs to do. You know, that they're the placement of people, the putting people into the positions that are needed, all of that. That comes automatic to me. You know, after 55 years of doing that, I don't look at problems. I look at, okay, so here's something that can happen. You know, what can I do with this? I find solutions immediately. I watch people who just come to a situation and they stop. It's the end. They can't do anything now because what they were thinking would work didn't work. Those are people who are trained for that. Okay, people who are trained with solutions actually can pick up on anything that challenges whatever formal flow or scheduling that they have, and actually see that that's some consideration that they didn't have that more than likely can be used to an advantage. That's where I see it. So if you've been praying for change, if you've been saying you're unhappy with where you're at, whether it's a relationship, a position, a career, a business venture, whatever, you're going to have the opportunity to make those changes. Get ready for them. Be accepting of them, and have, you know, set yourself some platform that, well, if this, I turn this corner, this is what I'm going to look at, this is how I'm going to pick that up. So the focusing on the problems is something you've been taught from birth, probably through environmental exposure with your families, as well as what you're taught in school. And if you're a person who just listens to the news and the media, you don't hear them propagating solutions. They tell you what went wrong, who was wrong, and how it happened. You know what I'm saying? So at this point, you want to come to where you can actually get yourself beyond that. There's a whole lot of conflict solution projects that are out. You know, if you're a person who knows, like you were, looking at just the problem, okay, go into getting involved in conflict resolution programs and workshops. Wherever you're at, you know, and I deal with marketing and, you know, promoting events and everything else, but that's the very exciting level of education. You know, you meet people at these events. You want to go to these events. I would have to tell you right now, at this point in my life, I don't know that I know everything. I know that I have so many avenues of probabilities, I couldn't possibly know where to put another one. But if something come up that I didn't know, I'd be there. I go even to people who are already in my field, who are teaching and working in the field that I'm in. I go and listen to how did they say it? You know, and I don't ever come away without knowing something more. I mean, just attending it, hearing it said from somebody else's perspective, or a story that I hadn't heard yet, helps me have a perspective that I can now make mine, my tool, my skill. And so every time that you're at a place to where you're being challenged, instead of going into the make wrong, you know, say, okay, here's the opportunity for me to learn a little bit more than what I know now. And as you come to learning and expanding, maybe it doesn't apply so much to what you're looking at right now. but it works. It comes to being the next thing that you could possibly have in your little satchel of tricks to get you past something that has brought you to the fear of change. Every day is different. Every day. No matter what you do that you consider the same old, every day is different. Something in time, space, matter, and energy is going to change. Every Christmas comes every year, on the 25th, but then you come to that year ending with totally a different life that you've just lived. So is it with each day. When I was a child, maybe not so much into the material world things like the convenience of a grocery store or going to just down the street to the dress shop, getting new clothes or whatever. That wasn't directly a part of my childhood. But never did I feel and experience a sense of poverty or scarcity. When you look out just where we're at, just everybody take a look around you, and you begin to realize that present time, right now, this moment, what could be scarce to you? What could you say there's not enough of? You feel the wind in your hair and on your face. What energy could you possibly not have? When you see the water around you and knowing that that is the birthing waters of all life, our planet itself, what could you not take on even yet? What newness of life could you possibly allow to happen? In the case that you shared, Joyce, you have been a dedicated nurse and served so many people in your life. Now you've come to a place to where you want to do it on your terms. How glorious is the gift you now have the choice to do that. Oh. So when you're looking at the changes, Joyce, that you've come to and the things that you've seen, now you can bring yourself to being the holistic and the naturopathic person that you've always wanted to be. You never were the drug-passing nurse, and you know what I'm saying, and looking at I love how when you talk about the quality of life, I mean, here you are in your 70s actually out there promoting what the quality of life can be for people your age and older. It doesn't have to be this. I love it when I hear you say the spiraling down of the quality of life that happens when you enter into a place to where you're maybe not as up to all of the physical things you used to could do. Doesn't mean now that you have now suddenly went on a downward slide here in what you call spiraling down. I love how you do that, but that's within all life, and we're taught that. We're actually brainwashed to believe that at a certain age we're no longer going to be able to do this or that, or I love it when I'm doing some teaching on business startup and that, and I look and see retired people who have had to work in jobs that they did not like all their life, have now come to thinking, well, maybe I can do this other thing now. Maybe I could put some time in and develop this business. Absolutely, yes. And at this time, that is the quality of life that they can have. It is the quality that we can make sure that they can live out the rest of their time with. So I feel it all connects. When I see life, I don't think that there's anything in life that's different from where anything else is. It's when we kind of think that applies here and it applies there and maybe it would work over here. No, it works everywhere. When you are a solution-oriented person, and no matter what comes, you don't start looking for the devastated ending and finality of anything, like the end of the world, okay? And you realize, okay, here's a little, unexpected curve here. So what did I not see? How can I use this? Where is this going to take me? Instead of being that kind of person that says when one door closes, another opens, and going ahead with it. That's change. And I love change. If there's anything that I probably realize I've had to overcome in my life, it's It's just being there for the moment and getting involved in the moment and not wanting to do the drag out, drag in every day. And I mean, it's like, I want to change. So you want to look at solution-oriented people, definitely embrace the changes. Look at this, like we just went through with the wind and the space around you. Look at this. You know, when in my life, whenever something comes and I think, well, I don't know if it's going to be enough, I start looking at anything in my life that's told me how, sort of like the principles of the fishes and the loaves of bread, you know what I mean? How could I make this more? How can I start with this in present time and work through it and then go to the next thing? One of the things I shared with you all this week was a story of a beautiful friend of mine who's in the rainforest in Colombia, who's gone there to help establish communities supporting a lot of the abandoned children that actually parents can't feed and don't want to just watch them die, so they leave them. And they begin to band amongst themselves, children rescuing children, and now you've got a lot of people involved in that are helping it. And he shared a story that I shared with a lot of the close people around me and some on Facebook. And his story is that because of the mercenaries and I guess how bad poverty is, you know, their food supply and a lot of their medical stuff that they use in establishing the colonies of children and teaching and educating them how to take care of themselves, their source got cut off. And he had gone into, and especially because after long hours of working at these things, it's, you know, when you go into a project like a mission in countries like that, it's definitely a test of faith. So basically the things that he was sharing, one of them actually dealt with the fact that he had gotten very low in energy and had begun to focus on the desperateness of his situation. And he recalled that one of the things that I had shared with him was to walk on my faith. When you come to a place you can't hold your own, it's okay. Just remember this moment, and in this moment what we have together, and know that I trust you and I believe in you, and I know that Creator always gives us what we need. So he did that, and in doing that, he said they had been 3 days without food. Of course, the children were going through a whole lot of crying and weakness and stuff like that. Hungry children can be a handful. And so basically after 3 days, he had come to a place he wasn't sure he was actually leading and in control or could be of help. So he had to shut it down, and he walked away, got himself together, started pulling back on some memories, put himself back into perspective. But what he did, he come back to the children, and he remembered that what is very, very important to all of you is you have to remember to focus on what it is you want. Not the circumstances, nor the environment, what it may be doing or what it's putting on you. Focus on what you want. Stay where the energy can take you. Okay? What follows thought? Energy. So if you're thinking there's no hope, if you're thinking it's so bad you have no solution, what's going to happen? She's going to keep making it stronger. If you start thinking and your thoughts are, okay, there's things coming right now, we just need to see what we need to appreciate. If you look close enough, I don't care how drastic the situation is, and listen, I've been in some pretty drastic situations, okay, you're going to find something that you can say, oh, thank goodness for that. So basically what he had to do was find something he could appreciate. Well, you're in the rainforest. What can you not appreciate? Nature and its glory and its beauty and its vastness and its richness, you know what I'm saying? And all of that you're in, just be in it. You know, and start looking to stay present. Stay present means don't go back to any memories you have or any bad stories you have. Just be in this moment. To be appreciative, be in this moment. And this moment says everything is good. We have each other. You know, we have a beautiful world around us. We can learn, if anything, what of the things around us are edible. We can look for greater answers. Just stay focused. And he had the children doing that. And he had the children going around touching things, actually getting aware of where they were and what was happening. And that began to work. Worked with that, in working with that, he found solutions. And that was just to keep the children occupied with doing something else and away from their sense of hunger. So basically, in actually finding solutions for him and his children, he just had to keep them busy. Okay? And when he was doing the locationals, and I want to explain to you what a locational is, it helps keep you in present time. What happens in the brain when you come to such points of situations to where you're very upset, fear-based situations are happening, and you begin to focus on the negative, your body chemistry begins to feed that. So the locationals are, okay, you're staying in a phase, I'm very safe here. Look at all the beauty around me. I have plenty of water. You know, what do I have I can't appreciate? Well, I've got plenty of water. Okay, I've got a beautiful place to stay. I'm in a safe region. So you're confirming that by touching things. And when you're touching things, you're saying, okay, I'm present. Right here's where I'm at in this moment, in this time, and this is where I can make my statement. So those are locationals. You know, look at this. Make sure that you're present with that. Touch that. Make sure you're present with that. Get in the moment. And in the moment, the body chemistry changes and the neurons are in a different place, and you have opportunities that you will need. Okay, so he was doing locationals with the children and having them touch things. Of course, with the children, it was a game, right? Of course it is. And with adults, you can make it a game. But anyway, this little guy is looking over there, and he wants to touch a rock that's under a bush. And when he does, he sees a backpack there. And he brings the backpack out, and he brings it over to his community leader. And when they open it up, there's some food bars in there. There's some bread, and there's a half a jar of peanut butter, I think it was. Okay, so there's food now. You know, I can tell you that this happens 100 times out of 100 times. This is the way it goes. So now they found some food. Now there's about 25, 28 of them, the children and as well as the adults. But they took that food in that backpack, and they spread it out, and they all ate. And listen, if you haven't eaten for 3 days, and you even get a quarter of a peanut butter sandwich, you've had a feast. Your body will accept it as a feast. So anyway, they had all of that. They got to eat, and when they got through eating, they began to share stories. They continued to allow the good to be what? Amplified, right? And they kept being appreciative. And then begin with the few stories that were shared, and then they all fell asleep. My friend shared with us that in that he just saw answers coming from all the sources that he trusts. The next morning, a group that was traveling to another location actually detoured and diverted from their course of travel to come toward his community. And with it, they brought truckloads of supplies and all kinds of good things. Actually realized that this group was kind of a little stranded out there on its own, and took them into the greater source of what they had. And so the affiliation made them stronger, the food sources made them stronger, all of their supplies and everything that had been stolen and taken was now replaced. And they got more help, which was great. So like I said, when you're looking at how bad can it get, well, to me, whatever I need to be taught is just about how bad it's going to get. It can get pretty bad, and that's because you're going through all of the chemistry that's feeding whatever the challenge is. But if I see that challenge, if you take that challenge on, and you say at this point of everything, I can use this. I've been saying it has to be different. Okay, well, now it's different. What can I do with it? How can I emphasize that difference to take to the direction of which I want it to? And I'm not saying this is easy. I mean, those of you who are listening and those of you who are viewing this is not me sitting here, you know, saying to you in this beautiful setting of which I'm enjoying today, and we're here, that this is going to be easy. Every situation will challenge you with its own situation, okay? You know, even if it's hunger, it comes in a different way. If it's money, it comes in a different way. So that you're continuing to sharpen your skills and knowing what it is. And it's constant education. Like I said, going to events, getting with other groups. If there's something I don't know and I'm not familiar with, and people bring it up to me and I realize, okay, 2 or 3 people have said something to me about that, I need to go check that out. I just see the universe talking to me. And when you focus on being alive and in this kind of boundary, if this could even be considered a boundary, if you look at the distance that represents the reality of what life is, you can't minimize it. You cannot minimize it with your little sorrowful stories.